Welcome to Art Loves Fashion. I'm your host, Sharonda Irving. I'm an image consultant, professional developer, art curator and collector, a wife and a mom. This show, Art Loves Fashion, is about, you guessed it, art, love, and fashion. We'll be meeting new people, trying interesting things, and hopefully learning something new. Sounds kind of vague, right? That's because I want you to join me on Sundays at 5 o'clock as we take a journey of all things creative and beautiful with art, loves, fashion. Hello. Happy Sunday, everyone. I am your host, Sharonda Irving. Welcome to Art Loves Fashion Season 2. Yay! I'm so excited to be here, so excited that you chose to spend your time with me. I have an exciting show for you today. We will be talking about the art of Shinique Smith. We'll also be talking a little bit about love out there on Instagram. And then we also will be joined by Carolyn Thomas of the Catwalk Boutique. So I would like for you to get comfortable and be prepared to have a great conversation about all things beautiful and creative. All right, on to our art segment. This next segment is about a particular area of art that I have personally been wanting to sort of learn a little bit more about and delve a little bit more into, and that is abstract art. So under the umbrella, I guess, of visual arts, but not even really. But I've been wanting to find out and learn more about abstract art. And so I've been doing some reading and some researching and looking into artists who are well known in this particular area. And I wanted to kind of start off a little bit about like what even is abstract art. Like, I know for me, when I thought about it, I know like if I go into a furniture store and I see, art that matches the decor in my home, I'm like, okay, that's abstract art. But I know that there's like a vast a field that I have no idea about. But that was the first thing that would come to my mind, or like sculpture. So actually, abstract art could be defined as painting, sculpture, photography, and other designs, or any art form that doesn't objectively or accurately represent visual reality. So basically, anything that doesn't look like a real thing, it could be considered abstract. So I thought that was really interesting. But then I was like, so how do you know that if you're looking at abstract art, or you wanting to invest in it or hang it up, or how do you know what's good and what's just something that somebody threw on paper? Although not to disparage anybody's creativity, but how do you know what you're looking at? Put it that way. And so it said that in sort of, you're looking at shape, form, color, and line. And that the thing about abstract art is that it's supposed to evoke emotion. So for me, a lot of the art that I have been gravitating to in the past, or a lot of the visual art that I have been gravitating into the past, we have a lot of portraits or things that look like people, and you can really identify it when you look at it. But then there's this whole lane of when you look at something and you really just let it resonate with you and see what kind of emotion that comes up when you look at it. And there's even this idea behind that even if the emotion, whether it's a positive or a negative emotion, is still evoking emotion, and that's what you want the art to do. And so one of the things that I was reading in particular about African American artists is that there's always this expectation that there should be some overt political statement or some sort of overt and obvious ties to the artist's identity as an African American. Whereas in abstract art, sometimes those connections and those references are a little bit more subtle or a little bit more open to interpretation. And the fact that abstract art is really about the an escape from reality and being open to the person who is actually viewing it and experiencing it. So it's a little bit more open to the imagination. And I thought that was really, really something. So you know how when you see people go to the museum and they are looking at art and they're standing back and they're just observing it. And if it's abstract art, I guess you're observing it to see what are your internal reactions rather than looking to see what realism you could identify with it or within the piece. And so again, I just kind of kept digging and digging because that's what I like to do to understand something. And so a person who's well versed in the like technical aspects of art, you could kind of go into the types of abstract art and who are considered to be the early pioneers of it. But sometimes that's a little bit misleading because we know what mainstream says versus what we may can find when we really dig into history. So I won't go down that road because I'm nowhere near into art history. But what I did start to look for was like, who are the African American artists who do abstract art that are like well known and famous? Like, who should we know about and who should we look to see what's going on in the world of art from African Americans within abstract art? That didn't make sense, but you get where I'm going. So that's kind of where my like interest started to take me. And one of the things, like I said, one of my things was like, what makes abstract art good art? And it was saying the use of color, because the use of color shows the artist's technique and their ability to use color. Then it's the texture. So when you look at abstract art, sometimes like it looks like it has texture, but sometimes it actually does have texture. And in looking at this particular artist that I want to talk about, it's actual objects and actual layers of things that create texture. And then again, it evokes emotion. So I'm looking around. It's Women's History Month, and so I bypassed some of the African American artists who were men because I want to talk about the women. It's Women's History Month. And so I came across a sister. Her name is Shinique. And it says on her page that she has roots in graffiti. So I was like, of course, being a child of hip hop era, I'm like, yeah, I'm right there with you, sis, with the whole graffiti thing. So, and in reading her bio and reading about her, she's super prolific. Like, her art is kind of everywhere. She's got art exhibits at the Baltimore Museum of Art. She's in the Bronx. She's in the Brooklyn Museum of Art. She's in New Orleans and Denver, Miami, all over. And she's even at the Smithsonian, the Portrait Gallery. And so I just was like really impressed and blown away by the work that she does. And so some of the ones that are on the screen, you can kind of go back. She does sculpture. And these particular ones are like these big like bundles of like fabric, and she calls them bales. And of course, my immediate reference was to bales of cotton. I don't know. I know for me, when I looked at it, and I think I have another picture of one of the bales that she does. This was like a whole entire installation. It's almost like a room. So she has some that are like this kind of abstract all the way through and through. And then she had some other installations that looked a little bit more real. Now, this one is a performance art piece. And I was really drawn to this one because of the blue and white and like the whole indigo dye thing. And then the person sitting there all covered up. It definitely, for me, I knew exactly what that whole idea of evoking emotion. When I look at this one, I definitely feel moved and I want to know more and I want to get close and I want to touch it. And I definitely feel like she's making a statement. This one was another one of her like sculpture installations. And when I was thinking about sculpture, I was thinking about statues or that kind of thing. But then I saw this, which was, it's still like that fabric kind of thing, but suspended from the ceiling and draped, and the use of the color and the line. I see exactly what it is that those elements of good art, I see exactly right away what that looks like in her work. So these are some of her sculptures. I think I have some of her, so this is some of her like painting. Amazing use of color, amazing, like really strong, visual images and imagery. It says white on there, or it says right on there. I didn't do any like research into what she said was her commentary and her thinking behind the piece. I just let it be. And then I have a couple of pictures of, there's another one of the bales. When I look at this, I'm like, it made me think of so many things. I just really wanted to show a couple of images, and then those are some of her paintings in the background. I think this one is just beautiful in so many different ways. I almost was like, could it be a little bit explosion-y, a little bit kind of not as sweet as you think when you think of pink? I was like, is it a little violent? I'm not sure. But it definitely made me pause and think. Maybe I'm trying to be a little too artsy and read too much into it, but that was how I felt when I looked at it. And I think that's the whole beauty of abstract art and what abstract art is supposed to do, make your brain go in all these different directions. And so I think for a little while, I'm going to be really thinking about abstract art. I do have some special guests hopefully coming on that are not abstract artists, but until I get them onto the show, I'll probably bring some other artists up on the show. There's another woman, Mary Lovelace O'Neill. We'll probably talk about her next. But in the meantime, go check out Shinique Smith. She has a website. Go to the Portrait Gallery and check out her art installation on the Portrait Gallery. And let's see, we can start having this conversation around Black art that isn't necessarily a realism. Let's see what we can discover when we look at abstract art and what it makes us feel. And so that is my take on art this week. And I think we'll transition into love. And transition into our love segment. So today, I wanted to talk a little bit about love in the social media space. So I happen to sort of be just scrolling around and going down all the rabbit holes that you can go down in social media, and I came across this particular page, and she has a really very large following and actually pretty popular. Her name is Milano Di Rouge, and it's actually a clothing line. And so before I get to the post, because I was looking at her bio, I've seen the clothes before, and I just decided at the last minute just now, shout out to my producer, Afiba, who goes on my crazy changes. But this young lady, Milano Di Rouge, it says that with more courage than experience, she began grabbing the attention of her peers with her motivational words, unique style, and ambition through social media networks. And so she started this blog in 2012, that offered love, fashion, dating, and motivational advice. And this was back in 2012. And so she has a clothing line now, a whole clothing company for women, children, babies, several followers on Instagram. And so she has 1 million followers, first of all. Shout out to her with 1 million followers. But she has a couple of different pages. But on this particular page, her Milano, I Am Milan Rouge, she posted this this question or this post, and I'll show it on the screen for you guys. But basically, she was asking she said, I want to be spoiled with love and showered with affection. I want to learn how to love wholeheartedly again, like the love you give before you experience hurt. And then she goes down and she asks, tag some pages that spread love. I want to follow more loving shit so I can learn some new shit. And so she basically is asking her followers to tag pages that are about love. And so I thought that was interesting. And I love reading the comments. I kind of sometimes get more life off the comments than the actual post. But with that large of a following, I thought that it would be interesting to see the pages that people post. And but what I thought was interesting was this idea that you could really get sucked into social media and lose the sense of love, the sense of community, the sense of friendship, the sense of genuine relationship within social media. And I think that during the course of the pandemic, I've seen a lot of programs that start to talk about how it talks a lot about how social media and all of the programming that goes into it to feed you what you look at most. And so if we don't see pages that teach us about love, I almost wonder, is that by design? And I applaud her for pausing and saying, hey, the stuff that's coming across my timeline is not necessarily giving me what I want. And so how do I purposely and intentionally start feeding myself the things that I want to attract in my life or the things that I want to learn? And for her, it was love. And so so I looked at a couple of the pages. I went through tons and tons of the comments, and I decided to edit and vet some of the pages for you guys. So if you are in the same place as Milan Rouge and you're looking for more love on your timeline, here's a couple of pages that I thought were pretty interesting. And so one of them was by a guy. His handle is r.h.sin. I don't know what that means, R.H. Sin. This one I thought was interesting because his page is run by a male, so it's not that the love topic is dominated by women. So it's run by a guy. He's in a relationship. He has a child, and he's giving advice that is specific to it was interesting to me because some of the things that I thought that he was talking a lot about seemed to be speaking to people who were already in a place of hurt and were already trying to either figure out how to get stronger and fight back through a hurtful situation, and kind of knuckle up and be a little bit more tough when it comes to overcoming maybe heartbreak. I thought that was kind of interesting because if you are a person who's trying to learn to love again, I wasn't sure if I thought that his messaging would help a person to love more, or would it just help you to get through something. But, I think it depends on where you are in your perspective or in your journey of wanting to attract more love into your life. He is an author. He's a New York Times best-selling author. He's a photographer. So I thought that his page itself was sort of interesting, but it would be interesting to see how others interpret his messaging. A lot of it is how to get past a hurtful situation. But it was a pretty good page. So I would say go check him out. Um, Another page that I looked at that I thought was pretty good was Black Marriage Movement. Black Marriage Movement, I just like the title of it because I felt like it's fighting against the stereotype that black people don't get married, and that it's celebrating, and supporting married folk or people who are trying to be married. This particular page, I think that it's more instructional. So the Milan, in her post, she wound up coming back and saying she didn't want a page with a bunch of memes. She wanted something that really was giving instruction and giving support to how to actually do the whole love thing. And so this particular page, Black Marriage Movement, it's almost like she has a visual blog. So she has a lot of photos of her family, photos of other families. But then I think she does lives where she goes on and she's giving instruction. So on how to improve your relationship and that kind of thing. She does relationship coaching. And I believe she is also married too, because I was looking to make sure that if you're going to be doing some relationship coaching, and if your page is called Black Marriage Movement, I want you to really actually be walking the walk. So although her page is not like curated and super aesthetically beautiful, the content itself was pretty good. So Black Marriage Movement, I think I gave that one a thumbs up out of the whole list. I gave that one a thumbs up as well. The next one I thought was so super cute. It's called Me and Somebody's Son. Now, this one, I didn't think it was necessarily teaching anything. I think it really is more about the idea that representation matters and just showing really cute pictures of black couples and, the whole Me and Somebody's Son is like a popular thing now in the culture, in pop culture. So there's all these super cute pictures of couples, and it says Me and Somebody's Son. And I think that this one is just cute for inspiration and just like reinforcement and just aesthetics. Like, as you're scrolling through your Instagram timeline, it's nice to just have a little like pop of love and fun and excitement. And just people out here really doing it and holding it down in their relationships. So I give this one a thumbs up in terms of aesthetics and in terms of like Black love inspo, and it's pop culture-ish, and I think it just has a really good mix of what you want on Instagram. Now, if you read the comments, if you're a person who pauses and reads comments and reads content, the content is good too. But as you're scrolling, sometimes you just scroll just because you have a moment that you want to kind of escape reality. It's a nice thing to come across your timeline. So I give Me and Somebody's Son. That was another one I gave a thumbs up to. And I think I have one more. Do I have one more, Phoeba? I think I have one more. And I think that one was, what's that one? Black Wife Life. Yes, Black Wife Life. This one was also cute. I also like this one for the aesthetics of it all, just because people submit photos just like the other one, but the person who curates this page actually adds their own caption to the submitted photographs. And it's another sort of inspo page, another and this one is not so glamorous, and I think the couples on this page are a little more realistic. They're like all different ages and stages of their relationships. So I thought that this one was a different take on Me and Somebody's Son, because it's a little bit more realism, and it's a little bit more like relatable in terms of the age groups and that kind of thing. So I thought this one was super cute as well. So that one was also Black Wife Life. And I think that on the screen you'll see one, and there's like a woman and a gentleman and a baby. That's actually, I think, the person who owns the page. That's her and her family. And so that one was good. There's a couple of other ones that I'm going to just give a shout out to. There was one called Black Love Exists. I really like that one too, because that one, the caption of it says, contrary to popular belief, Black women are loved by Black men, and it's our mission to showcase that. And I like that one because it really does champion Black men as loving individuals, and being in relationships. And I thought that one was nice. It seems like, to me, it again can appeal to not just women, but it also appeals to the men. And that one was super cute. Everybody looks so, glamorous, and, these men out here getting just as fancy on Instagram as the women are, and I'm here for it. So I thought that was a good one too. So I think if you're in a relationship, that might be one that you and your partner might look at together, like, oh, babe, did you see that? Or maybe even submit a photo. And then finally, check out Ask the Martins. That's another good one. There's another one called Dear Future Wifey Podcast. Now that one is, the Instagram page just gives you a clip about the podcast show. But that one is good as well. It's a really professional looking page. He is, it's a male. He's talking about relationships. And you can link into the podcast that is on, I think, YouTube. And then finally, the other one that I gave a thumbs up to is called Law of Attraction Live. That one is a little bit different from the others because it really just is about helping people to understand and embrace the law of attraction, and it gives a lot of like memes. So it's not so visually, not a lot of photographs, but a lot of really positive thoughts that if you are practicing manifesting something, and I guess in this case, if you're hoping to manifest love, you can look at this page and you can learn how to use affirmations and positive the law of attraction to attract and manifest the love that you're looking for. Or improve the love that you already have and all that kind of stuff. So those were my top 8 Instagram pages that focus on love. If you have some other ones that you think that are great, hit me up, tag me, drop them in the comments, and let me know what's out there. And so I can go check them out and share them on another show. But for now, keep following the love and keep your timeline positive, and filled with love of some kind. Love for self, love for others, agape love, romantic love. And if you want more of that, you can go to YouTube and pull up Art Loves Fashion and watch some of the previous episodes and boost up your love quotient. All right, now we're going to get started with our fashion segment. I am so super excited today because I have joining with us one of DC's finest boutique owners, Carolyn Thomas of the Catwalk Boutique. She is, I'm going to let her tell her story because she is, I would say, like a veteran and probably seen lots and lots of development and changes on the DC fashion scene over the years that she's been here in DC. She is a Washington, DC native, correct?
Yes, I am.
Yep, that's what I thought. And so, Carolyn, first of all, tell us who you are, how you got started on this journey.
Okay. I've always been into fashion, and I tell people I created a vision board before people were talking about vision boards. I grew up in Southeast DC, and I would tear out pictures from magazines and put them all over my bedroom wall. Little did I know it was setting me up to be a boutique owner. I was just really into fashion. I started doing the flea market at Eastern Market like one Sunday a month, and that really wasn't enough for me. So a friend of mine said, why don't you open a store? And I said, I can't afford that. So he said, go look around. So I went up to U Street where everybody goes to open a shop and took him up there. He said, that's too far. Go look on H Street. And me being a native Washingtonian, what I knew about H Street was that you don't go there. So he goes, you know where I work, so go look on H Street. I drove to H Street and I said, what is happening down here? And so I found a spot 11 years ago, and I have been on H Street until the end of 2020.
So you said 11 years?
Yes.
Yes. And over the course of the 11 years, and even before that, like you said, H Street was a different kind of a community.
Yes.
And over the past 10, 11 years, it has really, really evolved. A lot more foot traffic, a lot more different families. And, you know, the truth of the matter, listen, we all know about Washington, D.C. Major gentrification occurring in the neighborhood. And so how has your business changed over the years from being there? Because did you see that as a risky move going on H Street? How did you get customers then?
It was basically the foot traffic down there. People would see me. So I was really welcomed by the neighborhood. And people were looking for something different. They were looking for a boutique. People were tired of going to the mall and getting the same thing over and over again. So I was welcomed there.
Nice.
So my customers came from word of mouth. A lot of people, you know, they found out from other people, or they would just walk by and they would be curious as to what I had. So once they came in, they were excited.
Wow. And you know, that is interesting that you say that. And this is not really about fashion, but in certain respects, I see all of it as interconnected. But although H Street itself had a certain reputation, there was still a community that was there that embraced you in coming in. And so sometimes we have to, if we embrace the community that we are going into, the community will embrace us back. And we can't judge a book. We can't just go by like what we see on the surface. There's rich tradition and rich sort of like families and things that live in neighborhoods, and the people do want businesses to come into their areas.
Yes, and they really want small businesses to come into the area. They don't want the big box stores.
Yeah.
And that's what H Street was all about, not having the big box stores.
And so to that point, Carolyn, big box stores, I often think, how would you describe a boutique type of customer versus a big box customer? Do you have people who are strictly boutique shoppers, or do you have the kind of clientele who is like, I'm going wherever the good stuff is?
Well, my customer is a mixture. So a lot of the people, they do like the high-end designers where they can go to the big box stores, but they also like to shop in boutiques because they don't like to see themselves everywhere. Mm-hmm. So because boutiques, they only get a certain amount of pieces from certain designers. And a lot of my customers, they just like the uniqueness of the piece because it's timeless. You're not going to see it everywhere. It's not going to go out of style. So you can wear it for years to come.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that I enjoy about boutique shopping is that each boutique has its own point of view. And so the Catwalk Boutique, who is the Catwalk Boutique customer?
My customer is that person that does not like to see herself everywhere. She can step into a room and she's going to be remembered because they can say, you know, the woman that had on the yada, yada, yada. Yeah, because she was the only one with it on. So she's going to be memorable. So that's my customer.
And I noticed that a lot of your pieces is not only that it's unique, but it's unique, it's well made, and there's always some type of interesting construction when it comes to the pieces that you pick. Is that by design? Do you have a specific aesthetic that you look for when you're shopping for your boutique?
Well, I'm basically looking for, because I like simple pieces too, but I'm basically looking for something that you can have in your closet for not a couple of years, not for a season, but for a decade. Because if you're going to spend your money, your good hard-earned money on something, you need to be able to wear that piece over and over again. You don't have to transform your closet every couple of years. You can go, oh, I'm gonna keep it that. I'm gonna keep that.
Yeah.
So that's my whole thing is I want you to have stuff that you can wear for decades.
Yeah. Investment pieces.
Yes.
And
I look at clothing as an investment, because who has that disposable income to switch up their closet every couple of years?
Yeah.
Or to go by what the trendsetters say is going on. No, what's in style is what I'm wearing.
Absolutely. And that's the difference between trendy and personal style. And everyone likes to incorporate trends into their look. But when you have a skeleton of personal style pieces, then you can sort of rotate the trendy pieces in and out, but your pieces that represent your personal style stay the same.
Right.
And it's interesting that you talked about the value of the piece. A lot of times people are a little intimidated about boutiques because of the price point.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, well, the whole thing is when you shop in a boutique and you buy something that's really nice, it's made of good quality, it's not trendy, and you can wear it for decades. If you spend $200 on a top and you can wear that top 4 or 5 years, it's a no-brainer to me.
Yes.
It's a no-brainer, because if you go out and buy something that's not made well, it's trendy, and when people say, oh, they're not wearing that anymore, who are they? And then you throw it to the side and you just wasted $80. So that's how I look at it. So I have no problem with spending a nice piece of change on a piece, because I know it has longevity.
Yes.
And I'm not going to have to replace it because of what society says is the new thing.
And so as an image consultant, we call that cost per wear. Right? And so we look at it and we say, if you took the total cost of this item and you did a little math and you like divided it by the amount of times that you actually wore the piece, then you get to figure out what is your cost per wear. So if you buy this piece and you wore it 2 times, even though it's $80, or it's $25 and you wore that $25 shirt one time, you paid $25 per time you wore it, versus like you said, if it's $200, you could wear the shirt 4 times or 8 times and you get the same amount of cost per wear. But if you're investing in pieces like you're saying that can last you a decade, and you do that math, it brings the cost way down.
Way
down. Sort of
way
long
down.
time.
And I totally get you cost per wear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm a financial analyst by trade, so I get it. That makes sense to me. I didn't know about that, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yes,
to me.
cost per wear. It's a thing.
Yeah, I'm going to use that cost per wear. So when they come in and say that's too high, I'm going to say, calculate the cost per wear. How long are you going to be able to wear it? And so I thank you for that, Sharonda.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
I thank you for that. I learned something. It's cost per wear. Okay.
Yes. And so we talked a little bit. You've been on H Street for 11 years. You're a native Washingtonian. And people sometimes perceive Washington, D.C. as a political town. Well, up until probably maybe a little more recently, but people perceive Washington, D.C. as a political town and not necessarily as a town that has a fashion scene. Tell me about like what you know about the fashion scene in Washington, D.C.
So I'll tell you, excuse me, like back in the day, D.C. was really known for fashion. The women that dressed in DC, they were just so fly. And so now with social media and that, fast fashion, women, I mean, we are still into fashion, but there are pockets of women that really, really like boutique shopping. But, and I'm just being honest, a lot of them I find, they have to see somebody else in the outfit. And I was like, that's not my DMV people. So I think that social media thing done got into their head or something, but you got to get outside the box.
Yeah.
So some of us, there are pockets of us that are fashionable, and there are a lot of my customers that I find, but then I find a lot of, yeah, with that social media stuff.
Yeah. But in as a whole, for Washington D.C. itself, I think I've enjoyed watching how the perception of what happens in Washington D.C. is starting to sort of change, and like it's not, Washington D.C. is not just the White House and Capitol Hill. There's
Oh,
a
true,
whole
true,
actual
true.
city here, and there's a city of people who are very fashionable, who
Right.
DC was famous for the hair scene and all of these things. And so people who are into fashion, there are fabulous boutiques like Catwalk Boutique and others, and people who are really representing in that space here.
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree. But they're also like the young ladies that work on the Hill. They'll say, I can't wear that to work, but I can wear it on the weekend when I'm going out.
Yeah.
So we have those too. We have those too, but I'm sort of looking for more of my DMV women to get outside that box.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if they tune into Art Loves Fashion, or they keep up with what's going on, they can look on Instagram and look at your page, the Catwalk Boutique, and see what you've got coming up. What are some fabulous things that you have coming up for spring?
Oh my goodness. I wish I could show you, because I'm just transitioning out the winter from the winter to spring and summer. But I have some really great pieces coming in. Really, really nice pieces from international designers that you're not going to see everywhere. And I'm a big top person. I think you can wear those same distressed jeans and you keep switching that top up, you got a whole new outfit.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of tops, not just for myself, but for my boutique too. Mm-hmm. But I have, and lately I've gotten into getting, they call them boiler suits, which is a flight suit, jumpsuit.
Yes.
So I have several jumpsuits coming in, some really pretty dresses. Mm-hmm. I think I bought one pair. They're supposed to be Bermuda shorts, but they're really funky. Okay. So I have some really, really nice pieces coming in. I have a nice maxi dress, just all kinds of stuff. I'm excited.
Good. It sounds exciting. I better make my appointment to come in.
Yes,
because of socially distant.
Switching out my spring stuff, switching this out all this week, and most of it should be in next week, but I have stuff coming in. So it's exciting.
And so, I was saying, for those who see the show and would like to come and find you, they can find you on the Catwalk Boutique on Instagram. But the biggest thing is that you want people to come in, experience the clothing, try things on. And so they should, how do they get, you are working by appointment now. So how do they get in contact with you?
Okay, they can send me a DM via Instagram. Okay. And if they want to set up an appointment, I will set up an appointment with them, and they can have a private shopping experience. We can go, I have freestyling, or they can just shop by themselves and just be here, especially if they're concerned about COVID.
Yes.
They can come and they can just be here by themselves and myself, and they can just peruse the racks and try on whatever they want to try on.
And you definitely have pieces that are figure friendly too. I think that's really important in this decade and in this time to make it known that fashion has finally caught up with reality, that we can have fabulous, fantastic pieces for all women.
Right. Everybody's not a size 2. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Everybody's not a size 2. So, and that reminds me, I need to go home and pull some pieces for someone that's a 16, 18. So I'm going to go through my inventory and see what I have for her. But I do have some pieces that'll work for her.
And so we should come in to check out your spring collection. Yes. And you have pieces that are coming from Italy. I know you work with a lot of international designers. Yes,
and the thing is, before I purchase from them, I make sure that they're not in like a Neiman's or a Saks or Bergdorf. I make sure they're not in the high-end stores, because how do I compete with a high-end store?
Yeah.
They buy mass volume. And the other thing is, I don't want to buy pieces that are going to be seen everywhere, that are going to be in every store. So I try to keep it small. And yeah, all of my designers are international except two. One is from California, and I have one out of New York City. But
So
everybody else, I have Italy, Denmark, Copenhagen.
nice. Right.
Yeah.
So
Belize.
so for
Yeah.
people who like to shop small, we are looking at a black owned, woman owned small business that also carries items that are sort of almost small business in a certain sense because they're not
Right.
out showcasing in the more mainstream places. So, Carolyn, I want to thank you so much for lending your time in between your clients and your customers to talk with us today. Again, if you are, I highly, highly recommend. I have on one of the Catwalk Boutique maxi dresses that is
Yes.
super, super versatile. And go by and check out what she has to offer. Get a couple of investment pieces. Take your time because she's going to be around for a long time. So you build your wardrobe piece by piece, and hit her up on Instagram and make an appointment and go check her out.
Yeah. And I have free shipping for people that don't live in the area. So
Oh yeah. Oh, that's
you
important.
see something you like, just send me a DM.
Sounds good. Well, you have an amazing rest of your day, Carolyn. I thank you so much for sharing your time with us, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Have a good one.
We thank Carolyn Thomas of the Catwalk Boutique for joining us today. If you want to see more of the show, make sure that you tune in every second and fourth Sunday from 5 to 6 o'clock. You can also check out the old episodes on my YouTube channel. When you go there, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. So I'll see you next time on Art Loves Fashion.